Good afternoon, everyone. European Commission global wind speeds slowing since 1960, worded as a serious threat to our societies. Are they now admitting that the magnetosphere is loosening and our jet streams are now going to shift cloud patterns and rainfall across the planet, thereby hindering agriculture? IMF chiming in cryptocurrencies, a special drawing rights fund, should the volatility fail to dissipate. Well, each grand solar minimum, the fingerprint shows that it's at least a 10 to 15-year event. So we'd probably look down to the southern hemisphere also, in addition to the record ice gains in the Arctic this year. Sure enough, unusually extensive sea ice late in the summer has decimated penguin populations. Every grand solar minimum, China, the emperor falls. They can't feed their people. And interesting now, the intensification of the grand solar minimum, China launches a Yuan-Ruble payment system with Russia, shifting away from US dollar trade. Also in the same breath, Russia declares they want to have food independence by 2020, focusing an enormous amount of resources into the agricultural triangle. Notice how it's all linked by rail between the two countries, which dovetails perfectly into cryptocurrencies. Anything that fundamentally changes our lives, everyone on the planet will accept. There's less than 1% of the planet holding Bitcoin right now. Smart contracts, this is the way we're going to pay for grain deliveries before anything leaves port. Solidity leading the charge with this. And notice an enormous amount of ICOs tokenizing real estate, amongst the others tokenizing water rights, tea, art, gold, and the list goes on. But the one thing nobody has tokenized yet has been financial assets due to the SEC. That was until Ankorus decided to launch their ICO. The new Anchor token system they're introducing is going to tokenize financial assets, including stocks, bonds, commodities, sovereign debt, futures. So I sat down with John Cruz, the CEO, and asked him, how are you going to overcome the issue with the SEC? He looks me in the eye and he says, becoming a broker-dealer and having a seat on an exchange. The system is so seamless. It goes from your cryptocurrency wallet, converted into Anchor tokens, and then you decide which asset you want on which global exchange. They'll purchase it for you. They're the custodians. They're licensed. They're insured. And they're overseen by financial regulators. Solar cycles and business cycles are so intertwined. We're looking for a downturn anyway just on the 11-year cycle. But now add in the 400-year, more powerful grand solar minimum. You can see the progression. You know how intense it's going to get. And the cryptocurrency market is moving lockstep with the increase in the grand solar minimum. And at times of economic flux, you are going to want to stay as liquid as you can. The Ankorus asset-backed tokens are going to allow you to purchase any financial instrument in any market on the planet using cryptocurrency. This is an absolute game changer right here. This is the coupling, the connection between the cryptocurrency world and the institutional finance world. It's here. They're the first ones doing it. We are truly entering a new world with this ICO right here. And while you're watching the video, please remember to subscribe to Adapt 2030 and click that bell to get the latest updates. The European Commission giving us the report that global wind has been slowing since 1960. And this is a serious threat to our societies. I actually think they downplayed it a little bit. When the magnetosphere of our Earth starts to weaken, our jet streams go out of flow, our cloud bands move, precipitation moves, there's droughts in areas, and our agriculture is affected. They talk about the hydrology in the report. That means clouds moving to different places, not enough rain to grow crops, too much rain in other places. This is exactly what we're seeing right now. They're trying to say it's CO2. It is the sun on a 400-year cycle. Talking about cycles, let's take a look at La Nina, the cooling event. And when we look at the spot returns, you can see that wheat is heavily affected during the times of La Nina. Now, think about this. We're coming into a 400-year La Nina period, basically. So what do you think that's going to do with the wheat harvest globally? If we look at the solar activity and climate over the last 1,000 years, that yellow star at the Wolf minimum, that's where we're going, dropping straight off the cliff. It's being forecast. They're even using words, repeat Maunder minimum. This had great effects on our global agriculture. So you can see why the spearhead of open data, mapping out real-time 12 million farms in Europe with the output, because that would give you an advantage if you could measure and notice losses in each region that's producing food. Ming Dynasty, top left. There were effects in Asia, there were effects in North America. Every Chinese dynasty collapsed during a grand solar minimum. They just couldn't feed their people. Now it's been mapped out. That dark circle there is where we're currently at. We are going to drop down in intensity from the sun's output. So when you see statements from the IMF talking about cryptocurrencies and special drawing rights, should volatility fail to dissipate, meaning volatility is going to be around for a couple decades. To verify if it's happening in the southern hemisphere as well, you might look down and see, in addition to the record Arctic ice growth this year in the northern hemisphere, we find it again, unusually extensive sea ice late in the summer, decimating penguin populations in Antarctica. Unusual timing just this week, intensifying grand solar minimum, and China launches the Yuan-Ruble payment system, shifting away from dollar-based trade. Now the rail links connect Russia and China. They're already laid. There's no new infrastructure to put in. Russia declares it wants food independence by 2020, focusing an enormous amount of resources in the agricultural triangle. Taking a look at China's string of pearls, Indonesia, that will be a new breadbasket as areas in the northern hemisphere further north go offline. Now notice also the substitution crops that Russia can offer. If wheat goes offline, barley, oats, rye, buckwheat can substitute. Taking a look at regional wheat output maps, the periphery green at the northern edges of the grow belts, that's offline for sure. We can go back thousands of years and find the same exact thing happening. Planetary geometry, grand solar minimums, collapse of dynasties. Let's bring it into a little more modern time frame. Solar cycles and business cycles overlap. Even if we were just looking at the 11-year solar cycle, we are due for a downturn in cyclic business pattern anyway. Add in a 400-year more powerful cycle, and well, we have a special set of circumstances on our hands. British banks forecasting consumer credit collapse, starting to look like 2009 and 10 after the fallout of 2008 highs. This is happening globally, though. This is not exclusive to the UK. And then when you see and read the entire release by the IMF and cryptocurrency SDRs, where they're going to couple substitutes for national currencies and a cryptocurrency issued by the IMF, it starts to make sense. Let's look at the grow maps. Canada, that's going to be 100% offline. Anything 45 and above is going to struggle to keep any kind of yield compared to today. Jumping over to Europe, anything at 55 north, because the climate system there is a little bit different with the Atlantic Ocean bringing heating. So you can see how rail delivery would be much more conducive for getting food to your country than it would be sending it by ship across an ocean. The groundwork's been laid, so this dovetails perfectly with cryptocurrencies. Now I'll go back to Novograd's statement here that anything fundamentally changing society or the way we live will be adopted and accepted by everyone. And I can hear the herd coming, because if you don't own Bitcoin, you're not alone. There's less than 1% of the people on the planet that even know what a Satoshi is or own Bitcoin. Imagine when the saturation gets up to 60-70% of the planet using Bitcoin. And it's at $6,000 right now, and there's less than 1% of the people on the planet using it, buying it, owning it, or even knowing what it is. There's some room for upward momentum on that. Now, the latest round of ICOs over these last couple of months have been about digitizing assets, tokenizing real estate on the blockchain. They were doing art, gold, tea, liquor, and the list went on, literally. So you can easily see the progression of this into smart contracts. You're going to have to pay for deliveries before they leave port. Solidity is spearheading this movement. Global business using smart contracts, guaranteeing payment in a shrinking economy. Now, everybody else that's trying to tokenize assets has run into the same problem. The SEC. That was until right now when Ankorus has announced their ICO. These are financial asset-backed tokens. And I was incredibly curious. This is a game changer as it moves forward. So I reached out to John Cruz, sat down with him. So I asked him the same thing. Everybody else has come up against the wall of the SEC. How are you going to get past this? He looks me in the eye and he says, broker-dealer entity. And we're also going to have a seat on an exchange. So currently, if you want to, let's say, buy a U.S. equity stock, let's say Amazon, you're going to have to take the money out of your crypto wallet, get it into your exchange, might be Poloniex, Bittrex, whatever you're using, and then you're going to have to go back to a bank. Once you're in the bank, you're going to have to transfer that out into a dealer broker, or if you have an online account, something like Ameritrade. Then you're going to have to go ahead and purchase a security. That's only Monday to Friday. Then when you want to extract your money back out into cryptocurrency, you have to do that, but in reverse. So think about how much time that takes and how many commissions you're paying each step of the way. What Ankorus is going to do is they're going to issue asset-backed tokens, and they're going to accept 60 different types of cryptocurrency, issue their anchor tokens. You determine the asset you would like purchased, and then they are going to go as a broker-dealer onto the global exchanges and purchase that for you, act as the custodian, and this is all insured and regulated and audited, which is an entirely new way to take cryptocurrency, connecting, blending, and meshing with institutional finance investors. So as we were talking, I was asking him to explain to me, what about the anchor token system? What types of financial instruments we offer? He ran down the list here: stocks and bonds, futures, commodities, options, sovereign debt. Anywhere on the planet, in any market or exchange, they can execute a trade. We even talked about give-up trades in some of the more obscure markets, such as the Middle East or Africa. So I really wanted to dig deeper. So I was asking him, if you're a broker-dealer, what type of special rights do you get, or how can you even accomplish this? Everybody up to this point has been stopped by the SEC, and it's all about the broker-dealer. They're able to actually structure securities and financial products. And as I've said so many times before in my videos, as the grand solar minimum increases and intensifies year upon year, cryptocurrency adoption is going to be pushed by governments around the world. It's going to have to stay lockstep with the decreasing economy. They're going to have to give different options for people to protect assets, move money, and continue to do business when the fiat currency takes on a different form than it does now. This is absolutely a push in that direction. This is a coupling of cryptocurrency with financial markets on the institutional level, bringing in institutional money into the cryptocurrency space. And you have to think about it. During these times of uncertainty, you want to be as liquid as you can. Now, these asset-backed tokens from Ankorus, that allows you to go into any global exchange on the planet using cryptocurrency and come out back into crypto in any place on this planet. Think about that for just a moment. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I've linked everything below to the white paper for this ICO, as well as the website and the interview that I did with John.